What would it take for the Celtics to overtake the Cavaliers in the East?
Me personally, I think the combination of having the #1 overall pick and getting somebody like a Paul George, even more so than a Gordon Hayward, I think would do the trick. I think that Paul George is that kind of talent. I'm not saying he's going to end up in Boston because obviously he's talking a lot about L.A. Gordon Hayward is a nice, really, really nice piece. I think it ensures that would be Boston and Cleveland in the conference finals. But when we talk about what could elevate them above Cleveland, despite the fact that Paul George bricked the three-pointer with 1.9 seconds left in Game 3, I think the reality is that Paul George with the #1 pick, which will probably be Markelle Fultz, with the rest of the team remaining intact, I really, really believe can give Cleveland a significant run for its money, and who knows what could happen.
Yeah, I think as soon as next year, the Celtics could actually bump the Cavs. Let's see how it plays out. But the Celtics have 4 things they got to do. They have to figure out the backcourt because they're probably going to draft Fultz. You'd figure he's, you don't draft on need when you have the #1 pick. You take the best available guy. And then how does that work with Isaiah Thomas and Avery Bradley? So they got to take care of that. They got to sign an elite free agent. By the way, Blake Griffin will be available also. But I agree with you, Stephen A. I think Gordon Hayward is the way to go. I think he's an excellent fit on that team and really addresses an area of need for them. You can play Crowder as a 4 in a small ball lineup that I think would be awesome in that case. You have to continue to develop the young guys. Look, they had the #3 pick in the draft a couple years ago, and a year before that, Marcus Smart was the #6 pick. So Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart, they continue to develop. Imagine the #3 and 6 pick are like an afterthought on this team. Danny, and by the way, you got to wait for LeBron to age, and maybe that'll be as soon as next year. So those things happen for the Celtics. They got to deal with Isaiah Thomas's contract issue, all that. But they might be able to beat the Cavs as soon as next year, Stephen A. Danny Ainge is such a great GM. When everyone was hollering for him to push his chips to the middle of the table before you knew what that draft pick would be, right? It might have been the 3rd pick in the draft, and that doesn't have as much value. Now we know it's the #1 overall pick in the draft. To push his chips to the middle of the table, to grab Paul George and spin his wheels as they lost to the Cavs anyway, he said, nope, not time yet, not time. LeBron's still on top of his game. I know we're talking as though it's a fait accompli, the conference finals, but kind of is. Danny Ainge said, we're going to wait. I'm going to hold that all back and then push him to the middle of the table when the time is right. Stephen A., I think heading into next year, the time might be right. Let's also see how the Celtics do in this conference finals. If they can push it to a Game 6, then you can accelerate the timetable maybe and say, yup, they're going to get them next year. If they get swept, maybe you say the year after that.